All right, let's get started. So good afternoon everyone and welcome to the Navisworks for Civil Engineers and Designers webinar. My name is Stephen Ellis. I'm the Australian New Zealand Civil Infrastructure Technical Specialist for Autodesk. So what I'm hoping today is I can show you a little bit about Navisworks. We can have a look at what it is, what it can do and how, I guess in the civil engineering industry, we could be harnessing it to help with collaboration and just to power some of our design meetings and really just get that collaboration going and show you some of the value that you could have from using this product. Yeah, so before we get started with the webinar, we'll just have some ground rules. Any questions you have throughout the webinar, please type them into the questions dialog box that you have on your GoToWebinar. We'll have some time at the end to answer the questions that you may have. Anything that I've missed as well, or any questions that are a bit too detailed, I'll get back to you via email with some detailed answers. Just if anything's a little bit too complex to cover in the time we've got. I'll also look in there if there's any issues with lag or anything like that. Let me know in there as well, and I'll try to slow it down. Okay, so what is Navisworks? So it's first I'll just talk about probably what it's not. So it's not design software. You don't author any of your design content within Navisworks itself. So really Navisworks is about letting you share, aggregate and review 3D and 2D engineering design models and data. So Navisworks will allow you to gain an insight into potential problems on your project and with its tools to simulate, optimize scheduling, identify and coordinate clashes and interferences, and really just the collaboration tools that are there will hopefully allow you to understand what's going on in your design. So as you know, most projects are made up of many different models from many different design packages and of course from many different software vendors, so not just Autodesk. So this really is where Navisworks sort of comes into its own, really, where it will allow you to aggregate model data from over 60 file formats and viewing them all in the one experience. So I guess, so why use it? So as I've said, it's the great design data aggregator, right? So it will allow you to consume and analyze the design data that is produced in your projects. It'll help you, moving away from creating hundreds of temporary drawings and sketches and things like that we've been using to sort of convey our design content to others on the project. I know I spent so much time as my career as a designer just creating hundreds and hundreds of temporary prints to explain something that was going on the project, and if the design engineers and project managers had been able to just access that information in a model, they probably would have just understood it far better than the drawings that I could have created for them. So really it's about harnessing Navisworks to aggregate that design model data and interrogate the content that the design teams are creating, rather than going back to them constantly and asking for more information. So really we're unlocking the wealth of data as well that is created by the design teams in their 3D models, and really that's mostly about any of the associated properties or attributes that are being explained about those elements in the design. So, and again, of course, as engineers that are using this, you could be adding all of your own engineering data as additional properties. And really it's a tool that will assist in building stronger interdisciplinary coordination on your design projects. Okay, so let's just get in and have a look at some of the actual details and functionality within Navisworks. So as I've just been saying, it's a project review program that enables engineers and designers to holistically review integrated models and data to better predict project outcomes. So integration, analysis, communication tools help teams coordinate disciplines, resolve conflicts and plan projects before construction begins. So in Navisworks, as I said earlier as well, so you can integrate models from over 60 file formats There's simulate construction with the timeliner tools. Visualize the model with animation and scripting tools, so as in dropping in piers and looking at things moving around and stuff like that. Use Autodesk's powerful ray tracing tools to produce stunning images. It's probably something that's used predominantly like from an architectural standpoint, but it certainly can be done as well for any of our civil engineering projects to gain a, similar within InfraWorks. It's another way before going out to 3ds Max to start getting those those images to a point where that you're happy then to move off to the high-end stuff. So of course, one of the key ones is performing clash detections on the content that's in there. Can quantify the 2D and 3D elements, and really, as I was saying before, really one of the other powerful ones that sometimes overlooked is really analysing the model elements, the properties and attributes, really being able to understand what the design intent was behind an element, and us being able to capture that information and share it, so the authors being able to share that with the wider project team. So let's just have a look at what I sort of think is one of the most important aspects of Navis. So that was the being able to aggregate your design content for analysis and review. So the Navisworks native file formats are the NWD, NWF and NWC. So the NWD contains all the model geometry along with any other specific Navisworks data, like timeline details or the attributes. So that's the core file really that holds all of the aggregated model information and associated work. So then there's the NWF. It's a much smaller file. It contains just links out to that original data. So obviously Navisworks is linking out to the DWG or the DGN or the IFC model that's being read in. So the NWF holds the links to that information, not the model geometry itself. So then there's the NWC, which is a cache file. Again, it's a bit smaller than the NWD, and really it's the one that can speed up your access to commonly used files. So there I guess the three native file formats that are created, and then of course they can be shared around as well. But as for all the supported file formats, there's a list there on the screen that you can have a look at, and that can just be downloaded as well, just from the Knowledge Network. That's where I got all that information from myself. So some of those common used file formats are of course from Autodesk products like AutoCAD, AutoCAD Civil 3D, 3ds Max, Revit, Inventor, and recap files if you're bringing in sort of laser scanning. So I guess they're the core, or the main ones I guess that we will probably be using within the AEC industry. So you also note that you can aggregate SketchUp, SolidWorks, Bentley directly into, so those Bentley DGNs directly into Navisworks as well. So I guess for the integration of any, say, 12D models or any other design software that's kind of not listed there, really the best format to use is going to be the IFC formats. That's the main way that information will be brought across. Of course, IFC is good because obviously it will bring across the property or asset data or whatever it might be that you're tagging to those elements. So that's going to come across as well. So again, so it's the IFC for any of like 12D or any other design software packages. So there's also an extensive list of laser scans and reality capture file formats. And just note also down the bottom there, you can also bring in just PDFs as well, so it can start to consume the PDF information that might be out there too. So really all of these data sources can be added via the append button that you can see on the little image at the top of the screen there. And this will, with all aggregated data being listed in the selection tree, making it easy to see what data you have, where it came from, and really just what's in there and what makes up the project that we're working on. So next, I'd just like to share with you some examples of some of the more complex civil engineering models that I've sort of had a look at and seen. So Let's get into this. All right, so in this first example, I'll probably just talk about a few things. So this is probably the general way that we've been looking at information, just sitting off here. So we're in Civil 3D here, and we're looking at our single source design information with some other XREFs involved. There is some 3D elements to it. Our plans are all there, and that's, I guess, the general way we're viewing everything now. Really, I want to look in this first example. As you can see, that once we get into Navisworks, the data for the road design, so including that 3D safety barrier, you can see the post depths, solids for the barriers and curbs. Again, they're showing the depths underneath the finished surface. In this model, there's bridges, there's drainage network, obviously there's the existing terrain, a whole lot of other fence information's in there. And really, and you can see we've got we can opaque those surfaces so that we can really start to interrogate and see really what's going on in that model, even before we go into any of the analysis tools like the clash detections or measurements or any of that sort of stuff. It's the beauty of just that, I guess it's in context, right? You're getting all the model there, and we can see exactly what's going on straight away. So yeah, as we're saying, that's really where the power begins with Navisworks, of just being able to aggregate all that data together. So let's look at in the second example. It's probably a little bit more complex, a little bit more in here. So you see first up that we've got integration of this laser scan data. So what they were doing, they're bringing the laser scans in to recreate information, and then they're going to be able to check that recreated information against the laser scan within Navisworks. But again, in this model here that we're going to be looking at, again, quite complex. There's the obviously all general road design data is in there, so the road, the lanes and all that. There's the complex tunnel, there's retaining walls, gets into things like light poles, barriers and signs and gantries we'll see coming up. Here you can see this is the complex tunnel structure. So here we can see that now in Navisworks, as well as the point cloud there. And they're also they're using the really nice sectioning tool, so we can drag the section up and down, and especially slicing through that model. So there's also a detailed Revit building within this Navisworks model that's going to sit there. So again, just showing how it's aggregating lots of different data together. And that can all be seen in the one environment. Again, there's drainage networks and the existing terrains in there. There's utilities in this model as well. There's a lot going on. And I think I said before, just that laser scan was being overlaid so that we could see what was going on. So again, an example, so you can see there all the different info, the retaining walls, the gantries, even getting down to some of the the little bits and pieces inside the tunnel of the looks like speed cameras or surveillance cameras in there. So again, this is just again looking at some of the other features that are in there of being able to to clash things, doing some connections with different things. So it's all, again, like I said, it's really where the power of it all begins, is with just having it all sitting there. So it's really, the federated models can be used as a basis for starting interdisciplinary reviews, coordination meetings, really even just self-checking by designers, getting in there themselves and looking at all of their work before it goes off into those design meetings. So yeah, that's really I think the power of it. All right, so let's move on and look at some of the main tools that you'll probably be using for sort of navigation and analysis around in those federated models. This slide ends up being a bit of a mess of all different pictures, so I'll just flick them all up as I run through now. So first up, I was talking about before the selection tree. So and this is where you can see all of the different data sources that have been federated into the model, what information is there, what it contains. So it breaks out and breaks down as you keep clicking those plus buttons to see what information is within each of those models. So next, obviously, there's the property tab. So again, probably one of the more critical elements again that I was talking about before. So once an element's been selected, this is where all those properties or attributes and really the design intent and information about those elements has been attached. And this is where you'll view that. So as I said, this is probably one of the most important tools as it allows you to understand the design intent and critical information about that element, so helping the decision-making process. So next, I guess, are the navigation tools. So there's the usual sort of orbit, zoom, pan around. That's pretty similar to every other package. It's a little bit nicer in here, I find, than some of the others. Any other 3D design packages. So some additional tools allow you to sort of walk and fly around. So there's collision and gravity, I guess, are the additions here. So gravity sort of, it sticks you to the ground, and as you're walking along and you come to a set of stairs or a ramp, you will move along at a set height to that surface, which is really good. So there's also the avatar there that you can see. It really allows you to get a little bit of perspective and scale as you're walking around and navigating through the models. Viewpoints as well. Sorry, here it is. So viewpoints as well can be saved out. Now, again, these are probably may not seem critical, but they kind of are. Setting up a whole lot of saved viewpoints really helps others coming into the model navigate through and really find those areas of focus that you may want people to be looking at. All right, so next to are all of the measurement tools. Now, this is an exhaustive list of all of them, obviously, that gets quite deep here in terms of what you can do. But again, it's a powerful set of tools that can allow others to interrogate the designs and get the information that they require without having to go back to the author of that information to extract that data for them. So really, I think that's the sort of thing, that's where we can really start to save a lot of time within our project workflows, is getting this content out to people and they can interrogate it for themselves. You saw before the sectioning tool, that's quite powerful, similar in here, having a look at models sectioned where someone wants them rather than, say, at the 10-meter increments that we may be giving them. So finally, I guess there's all of the markup tools. So really this is into the depth of the collaboration and things like that. So obviously you can cloud things, you can add text to flag them, and of course these can all be then handed off and reported out to the different authors for either further corrections or further discussions within design meetings. So again, these tools within the federated model can help us move away from that whole creating of lots of sketches and temporary drawings and into a bit more of a collaborative environment where we can consume this content. All right, so let's jump in now and have a look at some of the clash detection tools and how they work. So again, clash detection is one of the powerful features in Navisworks. Again, it's all about better anticipate and help reduce potential clashes, interference problems before construction. Obviously, minimising all the expensive like RFIs and rework that come down the line from different things happening. So let's have a look at one of these videos here. All right, so as you can see here, we've gone into the ribbon up the top here, and we're into the Clash Detective. Now, this is really just, it's looking at, there's the two panels here. We're going to add a test. So, I mean, if you can clash everything in the model against everything in the model, that can get quite confusing. So it's usually best if you start to narrow down these searches and have a whole lot of different, I guess, named clash runs that are going to look at one element against another. So obviously a bit of planning is probably needed and involved in creating these out. But basically once we've added a clash name, we can come down into the sections A and B, and we can now add those elements that we want from in here. So obviously I think we did a storm, so we're going to have a look at obviously these drainage elements, obviously against some utility information, and see what clash is going to be thrown out to us. So the first one and the second one, so you selection A and then selection B. So we're just going to look at the water pipe. So once they're selected, you can see down the bottom there's hard clash and different things like that. It's all selected. We can go to clearances. There's a whole lot of functionality. We can go there and putting in those tolerances that we may want. We can just then, obviously it's then running that clash to see what's happened, and it's going to start zooming to those clashes, so we see exactly what's going on there. So you can see it flipping between the two and focusing in on those for us. So again, we can add them to groups. And again, I guess the main one here is the being able to assign those clashes back to the people that need to go and fix those. Obviously, that's one of the important things to be able to do there. And of course, then it's just writing out the report that gets created. So the HTML's come out for that with some imagery about where that clash was and all the information. So here we can define what we would like to have written out in that report. Again, quite extensive, the information that we can get. And it's just a matter of writing that report out, and then we can have a look at it. So it's just a little HTML file that just gets written down. And just saving that in, and then we can open that up and we can have a look at what that report now looks like. So again, like I said, I think the critical one there is really being able to assign those clashes to people, and then as those are fixed up and we'll see those models corrected and reappended, you'll see that they become resolved once those clashes have been fixed up. So there's the look at the report. So that's really the critical one in here, is although being able to create them, but really it's being able to do something with those clashes once we've found them, assigning them to people and having them closed off and then verified. All right, so let's just look at one more example here. And this one's going to show another feature within here, which is the switchback functionality. So once you've run this test, now what we can do, if you're in one of the Autodesk products, so this is obviously in Civil 3D, we're able to do a switchback. So it'll just take us directly back from Navisworks into the base model. Obviously, as I said, it's a linked file in the beginning. You can make that amendment, and now here we'll see that clash is now resolved. So like I was saying, that's really one of the important features there that we're able to do, is that. All right, let's now move on and have a little look at the construction, the timeline, or in construction sequencing. So really, this is all about being able to import a whole lot of different scheduling software is all supported here, so you can see that list there. I guess the main ones are Microsoft Project, Primavera is in there as well. So they're I guess some of the main ones that are usually focused on. There's also internal timeliner that you can start to create and break out the model yourself if it hasn't come, or if you don't have access to any of that other scheduling software. So let's just jump in and have a look at this video now. So there's a bit of workflow before this, and we're looking at obviously taking a civil 3D model here, although again it wouldn't matter if it was from 12D or whatever it is, as long as it's basically split out into the elements and components that need to be created. So here what we were doing is we were breaking the road up into, I think it was like 100 meter or 300 meter increments, and we're now exporting out these solids so that it can be viewed and then timelined against within Navisworks. So obviously the critical thing here is that the attributes that are coming with it are all there, so that we can start to map the different elements to the timeliner, and as you'll see as it steps through, you'll see that the necessity there. So here you can see that split up model into components. So again, that'll be project specific, however whatever the requirements are for your project, it's how they'll be split out. So again, just looking at it here, we can actually see that it is a solid model, that there's curbs and pavement within there and things like that. So obviously this is quite a simplified version. In the next video I'll just have a quick look at it. It's a little bit more complicated in terms of looking at it. But, this I guess gives a general idea of how Timeliner really functions and any different things are mapped to it. Right, so here we are flipped over now into Navisworks. So we'll just be obviously appending that Civil 3D DWG now into Navisworks here for us. Just going to zoom into all, and then we can see there's that information now dropped into Navisworks for us. So again, we can just have a look down and just make sure that everything is there that we want. We can see again it's retained that split out that we defined within Civil 3D. And we can jump into the timeliner tools now and see exactly what's going on. So there we go. We can see that we can actually see that it is still a solid model and that everything's there that we had seen from Civil 3D. Right. So jumping up into the timeliner here. So again, so here this is where you could start adding all of this information manually and actually writing out your timeline from within Navisworks itself. Of course, we can. It's obviously easier if we're going to associate something else, or if it's already been done. Then, like I said before, it's just a matter of making sure that the properties are all associated and are all lining up, so that the timeliner knows when to start building different things. So here in the data sources tab, we can go in and we can start adding in that schedule. We're taking in, so here it is. So there's Primavera and there's the Microsoft. Obviously, it can just be an Excel file as well. So there's the CSV import that's there. So we're just going to use a CSV import from this for this time. So once that's added in, we can then go back and have a look in that tasks panel. Sorry, critical there to just hit that rebuild, and here we are. Here are all the different parts. So you can see that there's the naming here of the regions and things like that. That's what's the critical part, is that they're all mapped out correctly within what we're using is the Excel file there. I just had a thing, it's taking a bit of lag happening. Is there? My apologies for that. I'm not sure. It probably is internet connection somewhere. Hopefully it catches up. I'll try and move a little bit slower with different things happening there. Seeing if it's something at my end that I can get fixed up. Okay, so I'm sorry, hopefully it does get fixed up for you and it's just a temporary drop. So there we go. So the timeline is now associated. So over in the simulate panel now, obviously you see here we can press the play and it's going to start running through and starting to build out each of those objects that have been set in the timeline. So again, we can zoom around within the window up here and we can see what's happening. So we can see, you know, time and date and days are all flicking across at the top, and the timeliner is running through, and we can see all of the different activities happening down the bottom. There's quite an extensive list of telemetry, I guess, that we can start to run up in that top, even to get into the point where we can get into costs and all sorts of different things up in the top. There's some quite complex vertical construction examples out there that can be viewed on how that's working, but I guess that's what I was saying. That's just a simple version of how the technical workflow of how that works. So let's just have a quick look at another example from a timeline simulation. Again, this is a little bit more complex. So this is obviously looking at, you know, temporary works, and there's bridges getting dropped in here. So there's a lot more information going in. Obviously it's clearly sped up quite substantially, but I guess you get the idea. And really this is what it's all about, is being able to look at it in this form, so we can see, you know, clearly if there was an issue with those piles going in there, we would really see that straight away. What was wrong and what was happening there. So really, I think it's certainly a great thing if we can start getting into that before construction. We'd certainly find a lot of the issues, and particularly if we're going to do any of the like temporary construction and phasing and things like that on a construction project. I think getting in and running through some of that side tracks and temporary works and barriers coming in and out, if we could timeline that out, I think that would be quite powerful and really show us some of the issues that can exist in a design like that. So this is going to be the last slide and the final topic that I want to talk about. And I guess this is again, it's probably quite a critical one, as I've been saying quite all the way along. Most of them are. Really the assets, attributes and properties. So, you know, this is the set of data that is attached to design elements that really answers questions and informs others, I guess, about the design, the construction, operation and possibly even the maintenance of that element. So civil designers and engineers can, you know, expand the information that we attach to elements that make, you know, if they're coming from Civil 3D or, like I said before, from 12D through the IFC formats, we can really get access to this information. So as you can see here, so this is down in the Civil 3D components that I'm sort of looking at here. You can add in a whole lot of different content within the creation of this, say around the volume of material that's in this concrete curb. So there's a whole lot of different information. You know, we could put in, you know, construction times, what the concrete's used. There's a whole lot of different information that really could be used. So that's it in terms of the Navisworks for civil engineers and designers components that I wanted to talk about. So there's just some upcoming webinars. So concept for collaboration and the home builders making the move to 3D BIM. So you can get registrations for those are at the website that's on the screen there. And there's just a couple of additional resources as well. So there's our ANZ YouTube channel. This will get posted up there at some point in the near future. There's the I guess the Navisworks homepage for Autodesk where you can get a lot more information. And then my contact details are there as well if you wanted any follow-up questions with me. So with that, I'll jump in and have a look, see if there's any other questions throughout that. And I'll leave it back on those, maybe the additional resources there if you wanted to copy those down. So let me jump into the questions here and see if I can expand them out. Okay, so I had a question, can you explain the difference between Navisworks, Manage, Simulate, and Freedom? So I guess Freedom's just the viewer. It won't have any of the simulate or clash detection tools. It's really an ability for people that just need to look or just want to have a look at those federated models that someone else is federating and to have a look. So Freedom's the basic version. Then it goes to Simulate. Simulate obviously has pretty much everything except the clash detection. So Simulate has the timeliner tools in it. You can do all the measure. You can aggregate all the models together. Yeah, and then Manage is, of course, it's the full-blown version, and it has all of the other stuff as well as the clash detection tools in it as well. I think there's some differences in terms of the rendering abilities in there as well. So probably something to point out. Obviously, we've moved to there's single point products or there's collections, right? We don't have the design suite, ultimate, standard, premium, all that sort of stuff's gone. So it's kind of you could either buy, if you wanted Navisworks, you'd either be buying a point product, in which case you could buy Simulate, Manage or Freedom, or if you're going in and getting a collection, the collection comes with Navisworks Manage. So it's the full-blown version if you're looking at a collection. Cool. I hope the internet fixed itself up and it wasn't too jittery by the end there. Okay, I don't see any other questions coming in there. So again, my contact details are there. If there is anything else you'd like to know, please get in contact with me. Other than that, thank you all again for coming along, and I will speak to you all at the next webinar that I'm hosting. Thanks, guys.